happen to all of us. It is our pain. It is our suffering. It is our personal problems that a foreign nations, our people did not welcome this. Our people did not ask for this. Our people did not request this. We are suffering from what we call colonialism. Colonialism is what has brought us into this mess, that we find ourselves in disgusting agony. Imagine those children. Do you know that who they could be when they grew up? And yet, their lives have been perished. The entire family has been perished. But this is a big question that you will find. This is a big question you'll find, that a certain family choose to have a dinner with La République du Cameroon, and they have no pain, they have no feelings, they have no any sense of understanding the pain in which people are going through. In the 1950s to 60s, in the 50s, in the 60s, during the Jungle Funcha era, there was never a single shot fired in Southern Cameroon. During the relationship between the Southern Cameroon and the Nigerian authority, what is known as the Enugu House of Assembly. The Enugu House of Assembly in Nigeria has a pertinent relationship with Southern Cameroon. They recognize the people of Southern Cameroon as people of a distinctive identity. When the people of Southern Cameroon meet at the Enugu House of Assembly, it was a friendly manifestation. It was a friendly debate. They discussed common issues that affected both nations, Nigeria and the Southern Cameroon, meeting in Enugu House of Assembly. During an elections, the Southern Cameroon will elect its member of representative, and Nigeria will elect their own member of representative. They will all convene in Enugu House of Assembly. They debate matters of importance to both nations. When the people of Southern Cameroon left the Enugu House of Assembly, they did not foresee this pain and suffering of our people. Today we have lost 3,000 souls. We have lost 3,000 souls, and yet the world community, referring to La République Cameroon, the world community, that's a disgusting world community referring to Cameroon, ignore the fundamental question, who is Cameroon? Because one single individual called Paul Biya, in a single signature, erased entire nations, and the world community is blindfolded and assume that there is one nation called Cameroon. I am very much offended when you see the world. You think they are intelligent, they are educated, they understand the value, they have judgment, they have understanding the fundamental question of the world community, and that they will stood up and say, Cameroon. It's really Cameroon. Of course, when they said the bigger nations shall destroy the younger nations because their self-identity is nowhere to be found. And so this is exactly what is happening in Southern Cameroon. These are children that have been destroyed by that country they claim to be Cameroon. Imagine having this. Let's look at some of why they are so adamantly. Let's look at the key architects. First, I began with the United States, but I appreciate the United States for its effort. I appreciate the United States for its continued engagement, but they have to do more. They need to understand the fundamental question: what is wrong and how can we solve the problem? Because if you don't understand the fundamental question, then you can't solve the problem when you don't recognize that there is a problem. Let's look. I'm sure all of us Southern Cameroon are familiar with this face. That is the current U.S. Undersecretary for African Affairs. That is the United States Undersecretary for African Affairs. You all know when he stood over the social media. France 24 here in the United States, he's going to meet Paul Biya. And after he met Paul Biya, it's been almost getting to a year now. There has been absolutely no change. Of course, United States have issued sanctions. United States have pulled out of out of La Republic. United States has a withdrawal. But is that enough? United States has to do more. United States has to do more than simply just pulling its members from La Republique du Cameroon. It has to do more. Because if the United States understand the reason why this started in the first place, then they have a better way of solving the problems. But when United States doesn't acknowledge that there is a problem of who self-identity, because once you understand the problem of self-identity, then it is understandable that you can be able to engage in the problems. Despite the fact that the recent announcement Thank you, Nat, for joining in. If you're just joining me, thank you. Greetings to you all. If you just join me, make sure you share and keep the informations moving. Uh, greetings to you all. This is Fountain Daniel. I will be speaking live here from the great state of Texas. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Make sure you share, keep the informations. Thank you. This is thank you, Root Coin. Thank you, Irene. Thank you for tuning in. And I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in. This is Comrade Fountain Daniel. I will be speaking live here from the great state of Texas here in the United States. Thank all of you. It is amazing that having you this I want to take a moment. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Root Coin. And remember that I'm also broadcast live from my Facebook and on my YouTube. It's all both called Transparency Media International. So if you any of those, you know that you are with currently connected to me, Transparency Media International on YouTube as well. This is Comrade Fountain Daniel. I'm going to be speaking here about the issues that is affecting Southern Cameroon and Amazonia. So you are seeing the images. You all know the massacre that occurred on the Valentine's Day by La République du Cameroon military. And you all felt the pain and how La République came out and indicate that there were just a few number of that were assassinated, that were killed. And this is an outrageous moment in the history of Southern Cameroon. You know, why do we have to sacrifice our own life? As I was speaking, why do we have to sacrifice our own life for a thing, for a nation that belongs to our people, and that we are paying the price for a nation, for a land that belongs to the people of Southern Cameroon? The land that belongs to the people of Southern Cameroon, and they are paying price heavily because they invited a neighbor. You know, when you invite a neighbor to come to your house, a neighbor occupy your house, become the legitimate owner of that house, and destroy the people of that house and claim ownership of that house. And that is exactly what is going on in Southern Cameroon. But before I dive into that, I want to first of all thank the United States. Although they got to do more, United States has to do more because they have to. United States has to do more. The people of Southern Cameroon look upon the United States for leadership. This is the moment of leadership that United States need to step up, is bound, and show the world that they have the leadership and that they can respond to crisis. It's been 3 years. United States knows that Southern Cameroon is being invaded by a foreign nation, La République du Cameroon, because the world failed to see and do justice for the common good of mankind. And that is why the people of Southern Cameroon are suffering because of a systemic failure of the general community. A systemic failure of the general community. And that is why we are paying the price. One thing, let's look at that is the United States Undersecretary for African Affairs. I'm sure that face is more familiar. One thing that I keep on asking is, that is the United States Undersecretary for African Affairs. He understands the right. He understands the truth. But I urge the United States to stand the lead and stand for the plain truth. Let's look at Southern Cameroon. When the Southern Cameroon was in the Nigeria Enugu House of Assembly, when the citizens of Southern Cameroon in the Enugu House of Assembly, the Southern Cameroon will elect their representative. Nigeria will elect their representative. All will meet at Enugu, Nigeria Enugu House of Assembly. In the Enugu House of Assembly, it's a gentleman debate in the Enugu House of Assembly in Nigeria prior to 1940 something to 1950 something to 1960. The people of Southern Cameroon will meet in the Nigeria Enugu House of Assembly with their own elected representative. Their discussion and dwell on the issues between both nations, Southern Cameroon and the Nigerian authority. There have never been an assassination or massive invasion of Southern Cameroon by the Nigerian authority. When it's time for elections, Nigeria will conduct its own election and elect its representative, whereas Southern Cameroon will also convert and meet and elect their own representative. Southern Cameroon has never experienced the crisis in which they are going through at this moment. Nigeria has never. There was a schemish relationship between Nigeria and Southern Cameroon, but was not based on the Nigerian authority. It was an economic relationship, and that you might know of the Igbos and the citizens of Southern Cameroon. But it was never a Nigerian authority that will invade Southern Cameroon or slaughtering citizens of Southern Cameroon. And this manifestation has been an ongoing relationship between the people of Southern Cameroon and the Nigerian Enugu House of Assembly. But in this moment of this crisis, the Southern Cameroon came into this relationship with La République of equal partner, with a sovereign nations. But today, the people of Southern Cameroon have become the slaughtering house. The slaughtering house that La République will choose whatever it can and do. And that is why we are experiencing the pain and suffering, because the world community turned about against the truth. And that is why we are speaking up. Let the world understand the injustice they inflicted upon the people of Southern Cameroon, as you have said. I imagine the world calling Southern Cameroon, instead of calling Southern Cameroon by their own respective name, or Ambazonian, as the people have proclaimed, they are calling it La République du Cameroon. At the United Nations headquarters, here in the United States, here in New York, in the United Nations headquarters in New York, the name La République is still the document, is still specified in the document, La République du Cameroun. They do not know the word La République du Cameroun. So France, the architect of neocolonialism, has engaged in La République in order to dismantle the Southern Cameroon territory completely. So therefore, how do they going to dismantle Southern Cameroon? And that is the reason that they have been doing, to dismantle the Southern Cameroon territory completely. And so how did they do it? So they are engaged in chronic dismantling. For example, they began by instituting educational system. And when the Southern Cameroon cried foul, they began to appoint delegates of education. They appoint governors. Francophones are always the governors. Francophones are all the divisional officers. And education system are being injecting Francophone in the Southern Cameroon to dismantle the education system. Doctors, delegates, and all these are instituted by La Republic to dismantling the existence of the Southern Cameroon education system. And so by so doing, they are destroying our fundamental value. In 1984, he decided to sign a decree. Abolish Southern Cameroon and institute what they call La Republique du Cameroun. So La Republique du Cameroun is the name that is at the United Nations headquarters. In so doing, they have completely dismantling and engaged in a systematic destruction of the Southern Cameroon heritage. And so it became a serious concern when the lawyers began to ask La Republique, when they arrived in the court and realized that the chief judges are La Republique and they basically have no voice to speak. And that is what they demonstrate. And that demonstrates from a fundamental privilege to demonstrate question existence of a certain authority that has no value to the common good of the people of Southern Cameroon. Instead of them to engage in a dialogue, they instead use the ruthless means using their military to destroy our value. So that is why I am bringing this to the world community to understand that the people of Southern Cameroon deserve their right and their privilege to control their territory without any foreign interference. So let's look at this is the price our people are paying. This is the price our people are paying. After the murder of 28 citizens, children, mother, and pregnant women, and burned their body alive. This lies, the architects of lies of La Republique du Cameroun claim that they are not aware of such an incident. We all know them very well. You all know that the shooting that occurred in North, despite the fact that it was investigated by the BBC, it wasn't even La Republique, it was a BBC that investigated the report. And La Republique came into the national community, that was La Republique Minister of Communications, that the action that happened was in Mali, that was a Malian authority that the incident took place. It's absolutely disgusting. While we were speaking about this gruesome murder, they are still going ahead and slaughtering. This is just the following days that this happened, that you're seeing here like this. As you see, at St. Mary, for all of you who are familiar, St. Mary is a hospital that is close to Sacred Heart College. St. Mary, a driver, carrying a wounded person. In a medical profession, there should be no gunshot around it. In the medical profession, there should be no gunshot around the premises of hospital. It's period. Around the hospital premises, there should be no firearm around the hospital premises. But La Republique military will step into St. Mary Hospital around the Sacred Heart, pull a patient and the driver and shot them in front of their family. It is No, it is absolutely disgusting when a military, there is something that is absolutely fundamental wrong with the image of this francophone, so-called francophone. I do not know what do they have in their mental. That is why when you employ people that have less education, they have less education, they have less value reasoning, they have poor judgment, and that is what they have in La Republic military. They have no mental judgment, they have poor education. I do not know how they reason. It is a fundamental question. They just put on the uniform like a ghost animal, and they just walk like a ghost animal. They have no judgment, they have no reason. Why will you, in front of a St. Mary hospital, pull a patient, shot including the driver that is coming to present a patient in a hospital? There is something that is fundamentally wrong in this picture. All right. You all saw this gentleman. This is an old man that was taken from his home, beaten mercilessly by La Republique military. And that is him. He's lifelessly. He's dead already. But was beaten by La Republique. But before I go into depth into this, let's talk about the Aya Foundation quick. Do you know that Aya Foundations, because many of you know Aya Foundations. Aya Foundations CEO, Abini, he was picked up to gendarmerie, the infested animals dung yard called the SED, what is so called the SED. It's an infested animals environment. If you have ever had someone that came out of that infested animals place, you will understand what I mean by what I am referring to, an infested area. And that is where Aya Foundation CEO were asked to report there. But why are we in La Republique in the first place? Why are we? We are capable to manage ourselves. We are capable to govern ourselves. We have no benefit with La Republique du Cameroon. Instead, La Republique is the one benefiting from our own property, our land. We benefit absolutely zero from La Republique du Cameroon. And yet, they are the one getting our... Before we came to this, the so-called union, or the so-called relationship, La Republique was a depleted, rotten environment. We have sufficient capital. Our budget, our end-of-year budget, remember that the Queen of England, when the Queen of England were financing this colonial territory, we have never received subvention from the British Crown. Why? Because we generate more than they anticipated. We generate resources more than they have anticipated. And so because of that, the Queen of England never provide assistance. Instead, they will provide assistance to the Northern Territory that joined Nigeria, because there were insufficient resources available for them. And so that is why they were assisted. But the people of Southern Cameroon were never assisted any financially from the crown. And so our people were self-sufficient. And that is why, and if we are at that moment are capable to have sufficient capital to manage our own economy, that we did not expect the British Crown to provide us subventions, why should we have to depend on a foreign nation that could not even guarantee its own people to manage the people of Southern Cameroon? That is is the big question we have to ask ourselves. And in the process of having us in this mess, and that is why we become the slaughtering house, because British government failed to do its job. The British government believed that we can manage ourselves and that we have to depend on a foreign nation to manage us, La République du Cameroun. The British government believed that we can manage ourselves, we can only be managed by a foreign government. And that is why the document that was signed at the United Nations, instead of the British government handing over those documents to Ngarbuh Ntumbaw, the Southern Cameroon Parliament or Parliament at the time, they went ahead and handed those documents to a British government, to La République, because they wanted to create what is so-called a buffer zone, because their intention was to control the East Africa. And so therefore, controlling East Africa will establish a buffer zone, whereas giving Southern Cameroon as a reward to France and La République will prevent that buffer zone for France to move into the East Africa. That will give a total monopoly over East Africa instead of the West Africa. And that was the poor judgment of the British administrative authority. In so doing, our document that pertained to the people of Southern Cameroon, that should have been handed over to Southern Cameroon leadership, Ngarbuh Ntumbaw or Ndele or Jua. Instead, it was handed to La République. And so by handing to La République, they have Estimona, the so-called Estimon. And that become the underdog for La République to destroy the Southern Cameroon now that we are facing this massacre. Let's look at detail. This young that you find was beaten mercilessly, and is now of late. That is his burial. That's the young man that I just shown to you. He was buried. An old man that was living his life normally. He hasn't committed no crime. He has caused no injury to nobody. But he was beaten mercilessly, and now he has passed away. The family don't know where he is. Of course, that is the life experience the people of Southern Cameroon are going through each day, each night. I am still waiting for those images that we will bring today that have been killed by La République. And then the communique start again afresh. That's the old man vomiting. That's him. He's vomiting. Imagine a military that you expect them to have a certain high level of IQ, intelligence, to understand that an old man of this cannibal, what can he do? He's barely living his life. He's barely living his life, trying to manage to even get a single food. The day he had one, the day he doesn't. To have a little food to eat on the table. Give me a reason, a genuine reason, why the military of La République will beat such an old man of this cannibal until he became an unconscious. What has he committed? That's him vomiting after experience the treachery, torture by La République du Cameroon military. As you see, that is the driver that was shot, who simply transporting a patient to St. Mary Hospital. A driver transporting a patient to St. Mary Hospital around the Sacred Heart Hospital. And he was shot. So a driver transporting a patient and he was shot. Give me a genuine reason why he was shot by La Republique. And that is why I am asking the United States government. United States can do better. US can do better. US can do better. Because if United States give embargo and ask La Republique to quit La Republique through the ambassador, if United States government asks La Republique today in a public communique to pull out of Southern Cameroon, 24 hours it takes 24 hours, La Republique will immediately comply and move out of Southern Cameroon. But yet United States can't do it. And I am asking the United States, how much evidence does United States need to get before they can do something? I think there's more than enough evidence that can cause United States. It's not just about roaming around and having relationship with Africa. This is the time of crisis that United States can show some love for citizens, that they are part of you. That they are part of you. That is what United States can show in this moment of crisis. It's not holding conferences, it's not holding meetings, it's doing something actively in a moment like this, because 3,000 citizens of Southern Cameroon has lost their life because of an injustice that is instituted upon the people of Southern Cameroon. You can watch. Those are the young dynamic children. Young dynamic children that were just slaughtered within a twinkle of an eye. And when asking, La Republique claimed that they are not aware of that it was being killed by some imaginary, as though they think their brain is high capacity that they can. Remember, our way of reasoning is higher than La Republique way of reasoning. We reason faster and make clear judgment than La Republique du Cameroon. You can watch. Those are children that have been slaughtered like animals